Good evening. Revealing Light Tarot, coming all the way to you from Australia. Tonight I wanted to have a look at the Trump administration's impact globally, with particular reference to the Middle East. As we know, Donald Trump Jr. met in Trump Tower in 2016 before the election with the Saudis, and in that meeting was also the United Arab Emirates and also Israel. Interestingly enough, Israel offered assistance with social media, a new social media platform to target Trump's voters and help, or potential voters, and help him win the election. So within that that meeting, you had traditionally two, I guess, polarized. They're not exactly enemies, but you had the Israelis and you also had the Saudis. Totally different religions, haven't gotten on in the past. But here we had the Arabs and the Israelis and the Jews coming together around the table with Don Jr. Around about that time, the Trump organisation opened up some business in Saudi Arabia as well. Now, we know from the Middle East campaign that the Trump administration has been waging, that Jared Kushner has been going back and forth and trying to broker a peace deal with in the Middle East. We've had Trump move out of or withdraw from the Iranian deal, and the rest of the Western world, the UK, France, Germany, trying to hold that deal together, which was brokered by the former Obama administration. So we literally are almost seeing the Trump administration overturning, going in a different direction in the Middle East to what the previous Obama administration did. But we also see before that election those players, Israelis, the Saudis, United Arab Emirates, coming together to offer Donald Trump's campaign help in 2016, in a similar way to what we now know Russia did, releasing the Clinton emails and meeting again with Trump Jr. in 2016. I have to say, Donald Trump Jr. was a very busy boy back in 2016. So what does this mean globally? It means that the former alliances that were created under the Obama administration have been broken down. It means that you have Russia, of course, at the nexus. Don't forget about Michael Flynn's deal that he tried to put together when he was national security, head of national security, to establish nuclear plants in the Middle East with Russia, in partnership with Russia, which of course failed when the world found out about it. So the Middle East, I guess, the Middle East alliances, the Israelis and the Saudis coming together in the way that they have, supporting one another, it's not something that we've seen before. Of course, the Palestinians have been left out in the cold. Jared Kushner's peace deal won't work and can't work without the Palestinians at the table. So really, it seems to me that the Middle East for the Trump organisation is all part of a bigger strategy to break old alliances, to really break the nexus of power with Western democracies. But look, let's just do a bit of a tarot reading and see what we can pick up on that. And the question would be, how has Donald Trump impacted globally since his election? So we see that we have the Eight of Shields here. So in a way, Donald Trump's leaving a whole body of work in much the way that his predecessor Obama did, and his predecessors before him, George Bush, invading Iraq, and changing the face of those alliances globally. We then have the Three of Wands. Now, the Three of Wands is all about teamwork, expansion. So there are more than just, I mean, there are many people involved in this deal. Well, not this deal, but there are many people involved in trying to create new balances of power, new alliances, for their own agendas, whether that be money, whether that be power, whether that be religious influence. You have a number of players now at the table that weren't sitting together before. So then we have things moving very quickly in the future. I think that relates, because the question I had in mind before I started this reading is, now that Donald Trump is becoming more and more isolated, losing his power base, what are these players now doing? What are they thinking? Who are they trying to throw their influence in with? And I think this card, the Eight of Wands, which looks at speed and action and quick changes and news. I think those players that are all sitting at the table, the new players that are sitting at the table with the Trump administration, are now trying to look for different alliances. They're trying to read how the US will be after the midterms. Things are moving quickly. Donald Trump is becoming more and more isolated. But let's have a little bit of a deeper look at that. So then we have the Eight of Swords. Now, as you know, swords are all about cutting through things, about the intellect, and often involve changes and transformations. The Knight of Swords here is telling us that that there was change. That in 2016, these changes were starting to happen. These alliances were starting to form. Currently, they are bound by the Eight of Swords. Interesting, we're pulling a lot of swords in this reading, but they're being restricted in their plans. Hallelujah! They're being restricted in their plans globally. In the future, we've got the shadow. Now, the shadow is almost letting us know that the devil, I guess, is letting us know that their plans won't come to fruition. And in fact, their attempts to change the global order are effectively going to be chained and restricted. So taking that a little bit further and deepening the reading, we have the King of Swords. So very much they were influential back in 2016, 2017. And really working hard to change the world order. I don't know if you were aware that the Saudis recently criticised Canada, which is really unheard of. I mean, Saudi Arabia, I mean, that was where the 9/11 attack on America, the World Trade Center, originated. And now these people are now calling out Western democracies. Because they've been emboldened. They've been emboldened by the Trump administration alliances and by having a big seat at the table. So in the present, of course, we were thinking that they are bound and gagged, and of course here we have the Nine of Cauldrons. Things aren't looking good for the alliances at all. Their plans are not coming to fruition, and things are taking a turn for the worst. In the future, we have the Five of Shields. Those old alliances are very much going to be left out in the cold, viewers. Very much left out in the cold. A new world order is coming. The plans to unseat old alliances, develop new ones, new power plays, revolving largely around money. Let's not forget that Michael Flynn wanted to partner up with Russia to build those nuclear reactors. Let's not forget that the Trump organisation has or did open new businesses in Saudi Arabia, and let's not forget the cosy relationship between Donald Trump and the Saudis. Indeed, the Saudis are reportedly propping up his hotel in Manhattan by booking out the rooms and propping that up because that business has taken a dive in New York, where Trump is very unpopular. So I guess anyone who's worried about global unrest and potentially, war. I mean, Iran has moved its missiles into Iraq. And Israel is not adverse to taking on Iran, I guess we need to be pretty mindful that what Donald Trump has done in emboldening certain players in the Middle East, and of course the poor old Palestinians being used as pawns here. They're out of everyone in the Middle East, their firepower is they're quite weak in terms of their military capacity. I think what has been done in the Middle East by Jared Kushner bumbling about in there without any skills or qualifications and probably following a money trail could have been quite detrimental to the world order, to world peace. But let's just see if I'll just ask one question. Is the Pentagon, the FBI, the CIA, and those law enforcement and world order, I guess, watchers, are they aware of all this? Are they aware of what Kushner and the Trump administration is doing in the Middle East, and do they have concerns there? Let's not forget that we have now Bolton there as head of national security, and he was the one that came up with weapons for mass destruction. So that he's not a stranger to coming up with things to suit a certain agenda, but which he did in with the Bush administration and the invasion of Iraq. There were no weapons of mass destruction. So, is the Pentagon, the FBI, the CIA, are they aware of what the Trump organisation and Jared Kushner are doing in the Middle East? And are they concerned about that, or are they taking steps to stop it? So we pulled the world, the world card. They most definitely are, viewers. I think that's a rousing yes, they are. And I think that we can, that we are, I guess, even though we might not be aware of the wheels that are in motion in the US to stabilise the world order, to ensure that peace is there. I think that there are forces within America that are now working against the Trump administration, and they're very aware of what's been going on in the Middle East, and they're very aware that that certain things have to happen to stop any destabilisation of conflict in the Middle East. So, yeah. So I think there's always cause to be worried when you have someone as volatile as Trump in power in America. But I also think that there are forces there that are working hard to prevent any threats to peace in the Middle East, and to prevent Donald Trump and his new world order, if you like, from being around for too much longer. So thank you, viewers.